Peace and blessings, everyone. Welcome back. Queen Osset here. Today, I'm just going to do a quick video showing you some decks, tarot and oracle decks that you can work with as you venture into your shadow work journey. Let's see. When choosing a deck, you want to choose something that you feel comfortable with. Again, as I said in my last video, you don't have to use a dark deck to do shadow work, okay? You just want to be able to make sure that your deck has enough information that can pull a lot of things to the surface for you. Okay, so I just have some brief notes here. Choosing a deck. Many people have worked with the Nicoletta Ceccoli tarot deck and the oracle deck. Give me a second. I think I have one on my shelf. I do. This is what it looks like if you're not familiar with it. From what I understand, this is a great deck for doing, let's say, inner child work. Some of us, that's part of our shadow, you know, that's something, maybe we were abandoned or we were abused, and, you know, don't be put off or fooled by the cutesy look of it. And that brings me over to several of Lucy Cavendish's decks. And I discovered these decks, or the power of these decks, when I was working with my students over the past year. And, you know, I left their deck choices up to them. One of them was this deck, the Faerytale Oracle. I've always been put off by the big eyes and the soulful look and all of that stuff. And it's like, what could that possibly do for me? And so, you know, the imagery, of course, this is Jasmine Beckett. Yes, Griffith, you know, everyone's familiar with this. Her art style, you know, oh, how cute. But it was the guidebook that had the messages. This particular deck, of course, focuses on the stories that most of us grew up with. So I will show you, for instance, a message. Let's see. Which one did I pull here? Oh, Goldilocks. And the key word here is entitlement. You have a wonderful guidebook here that has spreads in it. Maybe I'll do a walkthrough. But I think that someone else has done a walkthrough on this. Maybe Racine. This deck has been around for a while, so I think you should be able to find it quite easily, but let me give you a little message here. What Goldilocks has to say. She said, it says here, in this relatively recent tale, a pretty golden-haired girl wanders into a home that belongs to a family. She eats their food, sits in their chairs, and sleeps in their beds, and she does it all with the greatest sense of entitlement. That makes me feel that this card is all about those who have a sense of entitlement and who make use of the families of others. The selfish one who wanders into private space and appraises it thoughtlessly. The one who takes over the territory of others without even considering the dangers of doing so. And it goes on and on and on. Meaning, you know, then she has questions here. Where do you need to learn to study or respect in order to grow past the young stage into full maturity? Meaning, privileges earned, trespassing of personal space, search of perfection, immature approach, disrespectful person, ignorant of boundaries, superiority, when humility would be best. So, this cute little deck will take you deep if you're ready, okay? Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of it. It's a wonderful, powerful tool. The next deck I have by Lucy Cavendish is the Faery Forest Oracle deck. And this is another deck that I had bypassed because, you know, I guess because it's cute and it's elves and, you know, what is that? I don't know. But one of my students was working with it, and I was really impressed with the messages. Let's see. Can you see the imagery? We have, you know, Fae folk, we folk. Not really sure. All I was interested is, of course, is in the imagery and the messages that you get from this. So let's just take a look and see. I'll just go with any card. Well, let's do it this way. I'll just choose a card. Shapeshifter. And transformation, primal wisdom, and instinct. That's card number 4. And let's see what it has to say about card number 4. The message for you is to get ready to change. Get ready to be amazed at just what you can do when you give yourself a chance, at what you can become when you receive the same opportunities as others, but most importantly, what you can achieve when you dare yourself to go further. So, of course, you know, it's a wonderful guidebook. I can show you that. I just read a little bit of what's in there. But this is one of those decks that I feel that's also empowering. You know, it nudges you forward to do something more, to get you outside of that comfort zone. Okay, so another deck that I have here is Soulful Woman, and I think this is a new artist on the scene. Guidance cards, and this was one of those decks. I think it was one. This is probably the first deck that I had ever encountered that mentioned what to do with your anger. And I wonder if I can, or let me just show you some of the imagery. The power of my voice. Asking, you know, a lot of times we feel that we shouldn't ask for anything, ask what we deserve. Let's see what else I have here. Loving from the inside. This is a good deck for self-empowerment. This is a good deck for self-love. As I said, it had this one card that talked about anger. How about, let's see, let's just pull a card because that's what I've been doing, right? Again, these are old decks. They've been around for quite some time. You can go in to Google Images and search and take a closer look at the decks if you'd like. I'm sure you can probably find them on Amazon. But you want to work with materials, tools, decks, whatever, that's going to allow you to expand more. It's okay to step outside of your comfort zone. I can't speak. You don't have to go that far left. Divine patience. And it says, my soul brings forth the right conditions and opportunities for me. The best answers and solutions are delivered at the best times. And this is having trust and faith in the process. So again, you know, if you're ever sitting in that place where you're wondering what's going on in your life, this deck, Soulful Woman, may be one of those that you might want to think about connecting with. Okay? Of course, we have our standard decks. If you do want something a little, I guess you could say deeper, of course, you have Les Vampyres. This is a store copy, so that's why you see the glare of the plastic. Again, it's a Lucy Cavendish. Alana Fairchild, Wild Kuan Yin. This deck, when it came out years ago, I bought it. Of course, the box is much bigger than this. And one of my avatars, spirit guides, believe it or not, is an ox, a buffalo. And I never really felt a true, full connection to Kuan Yin. But then I saw Wild Kuan Yin, and I was like, let me just take a look at this deck. And I opened it up. And of course, shuffled the deck and said, what message do you have for me? And when I pulled that card, I don't remember what it was. All I know is that it moved me so deeply that it brought tears to my eyes. And so it was just one of those decks that I felt got me and took me deep within myself. Wild Kuan Yin. Of course, this is another favorite of the interwebs, Sacred Rebels. These decks are empowering for both men and women when you're ready. Okay, so I'm going to put these aside. Put these down here. So I showed you some oracles. Now, one more. Or perhaps two more. Of course, Vintage Wisdom. This has been around for a while as well. This is good for when you want to tap into that old-fashioned warmth, nostalgic energy that you may need. There's nothing wrong with having a variety of decks to work with. There's a new one out now called the Illuminated Earth Oracle. I'll probably do a walkthrough of this as well. It's collage-y without being collage-y. I'll have to do a walkthrough. This is a new one that I'm experimenting with. That's called the Illuminated. Put that aside. Vintage Wisdom. Rather quickly, I'm going to show you some of the cards. That's what the back looks like. You can do a search for a walkthrough of this deck. Keywords. I think this is one of those decks that will help you. As a matter of fact, Kim from Abundant Life, she did a reading last week where she pulled two cards from this deck, and it was delivered a beautiful message. One card was Kindred and the other card was Hope. And I'll hopefully remember to put her link below. So that's that one. And of course, I know that there may be some of you that will say, oh, I need something, I would like something to represent me. Okay, I get it. The world of tarot and oracle cards tends to be from a place of tunnel vision, tend to come to us from a place of one view. But it's starting to open up a little bit. They're starting to, new artists are coming in. And that's one of the things I want to do on my channel is perhaps expose you guys to some new artists, new decks that are there. So this deck is put out by, we all know her as Nicoletta Wisdom on YouTube. Her channel has a plethora of spiritual information that you can dive into. And this deck is based on natural hair. Now, our hair, and this is all of us across the board, serves as an antenna to the divine. It's how we many of us view ourselves. I said this yesterday, you know, do I have hair? Do I not have hair? You know, is it styled right? The color, all of that, okay? But for many of us in the African community, our hair is our signature. After coming from a place where, you know, we were told that our hair was not beautiful, or we had to always keep it covered. And this is not that far back, okay? So many of us had to come to terms with having our hair natural. You know, if you go back to my earlier videos, I always had my hair covered, and I just recently uncovered it. You know, I've been wearing my hair covered for several decades. So this is what some of the cards look like, okay? So that you can get your messages, reconnect, because that's could also be part of your shadow. See that transformation? Oops, whoa, you get all of that there. For us, that is a serious transformation. I hope you can see that card. There's no guidebook in this deck. You are encouraged to work intuitively. You see the butterflies, you see everything here. I love it. Here we have, look at that, long, wise love. You know, the gray hair, the unity. I also love that she has some of the Undinkra symbols in the back, and that's something else I'll talk about a little bit later. But do not feel that if you're not like me, that you cannot work with this deck. Okay, it's very empowering to anybody, I think, who could use it. You just have to get used to looking at the imagery differently. Keep yourself balanced. Do you see that? The heart outweighs any physical attributes that you may have. You know, the expense, the time, and all of that you put into looking a certain way. Look at the colors in your hair and life, your chakra work. It's all about balance, right? So, I mean, honor those that honor you. Remember where you came from. All you ever need is within you. The Aquaba dolls and the Ankh symbol, right? You know, I think there's a saying that says something about searching for something that is outside of you. If you can't find it within you, you're not going to find it without, around you. So this is another deck to tap into, to help you bring light to that shadow side. Okay? Now, let me move on to some tarot cards. So, choosing a deck. As I said, a lot of people go for the Nicoletta Ceccoli deck because it has that cutesy sort of vibe, and yet it goes deep within. Many people might choose the Ceccoli deck, that deck, to work through childhood trauma, dealing with it, okay? And so this deck, I'm not going to say it's very gentle. If you want a gentler deck for working through childhood, the Japaridze or the Sun and Moon, which I have a copy here as well, to help you work through childhood trauma may be the deal or the ticket for you, okay? Let's see, sometimes you know when something isn't right, but you're not sure what it is. Something is stopping us from moving forward, from achieving your goals or finding yourself. Sometimes we get into this place where we sabotage ourselves, okay? So that's when working with the Deviant Moon I have a copy here, the borderless edition. the Deviant Moon. One of my students worked with this 2 years ago with great success. I was truly impressed with what this deck was able to do and bring out. Or the Bohemian Gothic, and I don't have that deck, okay? Some people even use the Thoth deck. That's my coworker coming in. I'm going to wrap this up soon. I also have, for those of us who want a little bit more, the Next World Tarot, simply because it's, well, first of all, the cards are huge. It's multicultural, it's more modern, and that might help. I think I'm doing this rather quickly, but I wanted to get you guys going. I wanted you to think about what you have that you can work with. I also like to work with a deck that has a huge book. And Barbara Moore is one of my favorite authors. And I think for shadow work, I know normally we are encouraged to read intuitively, but sometimes I think for shadow work, having a book that you can even use for like bibliomancy helps you be more honest, I think. Because you can read the card, get the message, and then you turn to the book and you can confirm whether you're off or you're not. And I trust Barbara Moore's work. So the Steampunk, as I said, that's a good deck to work with for shadow work. Or the new deck, Tarot Wonderland. Again, this is a coming of age story. I think this one is for those of us who get to a place of independence. Remember I said if you're over 30, you kudos to you because you've made it this far. Okay. I also have a few books. Jot this down. Anatomy of the Spirit by Carolyn Mace. You want to have that in your library, okay? I know yesterday I showed you Christina Jetty's Shadow Workbook, okay? If you can get this book, great. I'm going to do some research and see if I can find another workbook sort of something like this, because this is out of print. I would also recommend looking into some books to work with your chakras. I'm going to link Leisa from Tarot Alchemist, her recent series on doing the chakras and chakras affiliated with different tarot cards and what to do and work with that, etc. I think that's going to be helpful as well in doing your shadow work. If you know nothing about chakras, what that means, I would recommend this book, The 7 Chakra Sisters, because it'll help you explain your 7 chakras. I need her, I wanna, I have to, I love her, sing ya, you see me, I am one, okay? Those are the 7 Chakra Sisters. This is a good, fun way to learn about your chakras. And then, of course, Jungian psychology, theory, whatever it is all about archetypes. And excuse me. I've never been one to fall into those old-fashioned or wrap my head around those old-fashioned archetypes. I've done things differently in my life, and I'll talk about that as we proceed. So this is a book that has helped me get a better understanding of archetypes in my life. And of course we have Carolyn Mace again. Get this book, add this to your library, take a look at it, okay? So you get a better understanding, because, you know, there aren't many of us who like June Cleaver anymore. And I think a lot of the archetypes are still based around that sort of vibe and energy. This brings it into a more modern place, a better understanding. And also, of course, in regards to your chakra as well. We can go back to, this brings in or combines both your chakra personalities and archetypes. You know, who are the builders, and that's your first chakra, your artist, second chakra, the achievers, third, caretakers are the fourth, speakers are the fifth, your thinkers are the sixth, and your yogis are the seventh. The 7 chakra personality types presents a system for understanding your type based on the wisdom of the chakras. And it goes on and on and on. So this might be a good guide to actually have on your library shelf, your bookshelf rather, to help you work through your shadow work as we proceed over the next couple of days. So, I forgot to mention another important tarot deck. I would suggest that you take it easy, okay, going in, unless you're really ready. But I know a lot of people like to work with this deck, the Mary L, for shadow work. Oops, got some cards upside down here. But you may not be ready for the imagery. You may not be ready to rip the Band-Aid off just yet. Okay, I would suggest that you do take it easy. You be gentle with yourself initially. It's okay, all right? So that's one deck. Now, as we get further along, let me see. I do have another deck somewhere. Well, I'll leave that one as a surprise. I also would recommend a deck that's uplifting and supportive and gives you that push, that nudge towards success. Every once in a while, we need something to bring us back from the edge to say we're doing okay. And that's where this deck comes in. I've read from this before, and it's just, I don't know, it invokes, it fills you with power and confidence, and it makes you want to puff out your chest and walk straighter. It's very, very empowering. So I am going to end this video with a card pull for a message with us moving forward. I'm in the back room. It's the end of a Sunday night. I've had a very long weekend. I am exhausted. I appreciate you guys being here with me. So, if nothing else, if I don't see you for the rest of the week, I probably will be back. But in case a few days go by and I don't hear from you or you don't hear from me, let's see what this message has for us. Okay, the card I pulled is Falcon. Okay, and Falcon is, I'm going to hold that up so you can see that. I am Falcon, the swiftness of change. I am the sun god, the solar emblem, and the renewal of fortitude. I am victory rising. I am the hunter, faster than anyone. I harness the power of quick action. Every flit of a feather alters the world somehow, so waste no opportunity. I am conquest. I am prophecy. I would lead you to your purpose. You have made great strides already, but I am here to take you further. I have given you the visions you asked for, but you have yet to take flight. Take heed of the currents and dive in. Find your target and take uncompromising aim. I am the arrow that hits the mark and will steer you ahead if you allow it. Get away from the scenic route and plot your steps quickly. Many great things lie ahead. And Falcon's message is, you are forging ahead. You have spotted the prize. You are triumphant. You are Falcon. And with that, I am complete, and I want to say thank you so much for joining me again. Until we meet again, take care. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.